Let's talk about histamine intolerance, what it is, 10 signs to watch out for, and what to do if you do have it. Histamine is a chemical messenger in the body that plays a role in digestion and our immune system. The body produces histamine, but we can also get it from the food we eat. Now, histamine intolerance isn't really an intolerance, but rather an indicator that your body has too much built up. And this buildup can happen for a few reasons. Our bodies naturally produce an enzyme called DAO, which is meant to break down excess histamine from our food. But if your body is not making an adequate amount of DAO, or you're getting a lot of histamine from your food, that is when you can develop a histamine intolerance and experience the side effects we're going to talk about in today's video. Reasons why you might be DAO deficient include if you take certain medications, such as pain medications, antibiotics, diuretics, and antidepressants, which prevent DAO production. If you have a GI disorder, such as leaky gut, IBS, or a bacteria overgrowth. Also, if you consume high amounts of foods that block DAO, we'll speak about that later in the video. Or you're consuming a lot of foods that trigger a histamine response. If you fall into any one of these categories, then you're at a greater risk of being histamine intolerant. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Kate. I'm a certified health and nutrition coach. I post new videos twice a week here on YouTube talking all things insulin resistance, weight loss, sleep, and more. So if you're ready to take control of your metabolic health, make sure to click that subscribe button. And you can also find me on TikTok and Instagram where I share new videos every single day. Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. For everything from websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform that does it all. Head to squarespace.com/healthcoachkate to start your free trial today. We're gonna get straight into the signs and symptoms today, and then at the end of the video, we'll discuss what you can do if you suspect you are histamine intolerant. Number 1, runny nose. Now, the first few symptoms we're gonna talk about today are the most common. Histamine intolerance symptoms can look a lot like seasonal allergies. You might find you have a runny nose after eating foods that are high in histamine. And this is because of the role histamine plays in our immune system. Typically, the body only releases a small amount of histamine to keep things in balance. But when you are faced with an allergy trigger, say you're allergic to pollen, your immune system releases larger amounts of histamine to defend you. This causes inflammation around the affected area as the histamines work to get rid of the trigger from your body. And this causes the symptoms associated with allergies. When it comes to histamine intolerance, the same thing can happen, but without the trigger. Number 2, headaches or migraines. For people who experience chronic migraines, researchers suspect one common cause overlooked could be due to an accumulation of histamine in the body. Number 3, nasal congestion. This is another symptom that can look like seasonal allergies. Again, if after eating foods that are high in histamine, you notice you experience this symptom, it could be a sign of histamine intolerance. Number 4, irregular periods. Histamine intolerance is actually more common in women than it is in men. And one side effect where the connection with a histamine intolerance is often overlooked is if you have an irregular menstrual cycle. Many women find their histamine intolerance is worse just before they start their period. And this is because estrogen actually increases histamine production. So at times of the month when estrogen is higher, histamine intolerance can be worse. But not only that, histamine also stimulates the ovaries to make more estrogen. So this becomes a vicious cycle. These hormonal changes can affect your period and cause it to become irregular. Number 5, digestive distress. Histamine intolerance can also cause you to have digestive distress. The symptoms you experience from histamine intolerance all depend on where the histamine is released. If it's released in the gut, which is the case for a lot of people, that's when you're going to experience this side effect. Number 6, fatigue. An overactive immune system caused by too much histamine can cause you to become more tired throughout the day. Number 7, an irregular heartbeat. Histamine intolerance can also cause you to experience heart palpitations. This is a side effect that can be pretty scary if you're not sure why it's happening. All right, now the rest of the side effects we're going to get into, they are a bit less common, but also a bit more serious. Number 8, dizziness. This side effect can happen after you eat foods that are high in histamine. Some people will become lightheaded and dizzy after they eat these foods. Number 9, high blood pressure. Now this is a symptom that a lot of people are not aware of. I will say that most chronic high blood pressure cases are caused by insulin resistance, upwards of 90%. And I have tons of videos on insulin resistance if you're not familiar with what that is, that I will link above. But high blood pressure can also be caused by histamine intolerance. And this is kind of confusing because histamine itself actually lowers blood pressure, but it triggers the release of other hormones which increase blood pressure, including adrenaline. Number 10, stomach cramps. Again, if histamine is released in the gut, then this is a side effect you might experience. So what can you do if you have a histamine intolerance? Well, the first thing you can do is reduce your consumption of foods that are high in histamine, because this will help to reduce the buildup of histamine in your system. These include fermented foods such as sauerkraut and kimchi, fermented dairy such as aged cheeses and yogurt, fermented beverages such as alcohol and kombucha, smoked foods such as smoked meat or smoked salmon, dried foods such as dried fruit and beef jerky, canned food such as pickles or fish, pork, shellfish, avocados, eggplants, and spinach. Basically anything that is aged, fermented, or smoked is going to be higher in histamine than the same food if you ate it fresh. Now, that doesn't mean that these foods are unhealthy. For someone who doesn't have a histamine intolerance, they're not going to experience any side effects eating these foods because of the histamine content. But if you are experiencing the symptoms we've talked about in today's video, cutting back on these foods can definitely help to alleviate them. And there are also a few more foods that trigger a histamine response that you want to be aware of. Now, before we get into those, I'm going to take a quick moment to tell you about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for all of your business needs. You can get started with one of their professional website templates, which they have several designs for every category. From there, you have full control to customize the look, update content, and add features to fit your unique needs. For example, if you sell online, you can add an online store. And whether you sell physical, digital, or service products, Squarespace has what you need, including accepting payments online. Or if you have a service business where you have clients, Squarespace has everything you need to book appointments, manage your schedule, send automatic reminders, and more. You can start your free trial by heading to squarespace.com/healthcoachkate. And when you build your website and you love it and you're ready to launch, make sure to use code healthcoachkate to save 10% off your first order. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So some of the foods that are not high in histamine but that do trigger a histamine response include tomatoes, bananas, wheat, beans, citrus fruits, certain nuts including walnuts, cashews, and peanuts, and food dyes and other food additives. So basically the gist is you want to limit anything that is aged or fermented, and you want to eat as much fresh food as possible. Fresh meat is going to have a lower histamine content than meat that's been sitting in your fridge for a few days, and even if you freeze it, this doesn't stop histamines from building. So some good foods to eat include fresh meat, as we just mentioned. Fresh seafood is good as well, with the exception of shellfish. Eggs are low histamine. Fresh cheese, fresh vegetables and fruit, with the exception of the high histamine ones that we mentioned before. Coconuts, olives, mushrooms, they're all great. And nuts, other than the ones we mentioned before. Next, you're going to want to eat foods that contain DAO or incorporate a DAO supplement into your routine. Beef kidney is an example of a food that contains DAO, although it's not the most appealing. Beef kidney is an example of a food that is very high in DHO and great for histamine intolerance, although it's not the most appealing. The good news is there are a few companies out there who now have a kidney supplement, which is a great option if you don't feel like cooking and eating fresh kidney. I'm going to link to some of my favorite brands in the description box down below. So as we wrap up, I just want to say, while there isn't considered to be a cure for histamine intolerance, a lot of people see very drastic improvements in their symptoms when they incorporate more DAO into the routine and they reduce their histamine buildup. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today. Let me know in the comment section down below how many of these symptoms you have. Did you know they could be related to a histamine intolerance, or is this the first you've heard of it? I love chatting with you guys in the comment section, so even if you just want to come and say hi, do that. I appreciate it. And before you go, remember to check out Squarespace. I'm going to put the link in the description box down below. If you guys did enjoy this video, you might also enjoy my video on signs that you have insulin resistance, which you can check out here. If you want to catch up on my most recent upload, you can find it here. And if you want to check out my coaching programs, including my 7-day insulin resistance masterclass, you can find those here. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.